first of all, on that, so when we were talking earlier and you thought it might have to do with declaring a state of emergency, is that just a guess? Right now, is that kind of some guesswork going on?
Well, no, that's what I'm getting from some of my other sources, actually from out of this country. I mean, China's dropping, as you know, their stock market's coming apart. The other thing is that Venezuela announced Sunday that they're 100% now on the euro. In other words, to get paid for their oil.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay, and that's going to affect big time over here. I mean, welcome to $5 gas here within a very short period for yourself.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. Okay. So now, in terms of the state, you were mentioning the 90-day window. What is it that you're thinking about in this 90-day period?
In this 90-day period, this is all the setup on this thing. Obama is starting a new program now in order to get people. He says we should do things now. We can't wait. You know, all these people are talking about the election that should be doing it now. So he's getting a big rally to change this proposal. And you know, Clinton's just mots. You know, more of the same.
Well, we saw David Icke about 2 weeks ago. We spent the day with him over there in England, and yeah, and he was saying that Obama's national security advisor is Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Probably. Remember, Obama's. I don't know. I probably mentioned this a year ago that my sources are saying that he's being backed by the Rockefellers anyway.
That's what we've heard. Yeah, so it sounds like there's might be some consistent threads on that. So it really doesn't matter right now whether it's Clinton, Obama, or McCain. It's the same handlers.
It's just to keep people entertained as they take away things. The big thing I'm waiting for is for tomorrow, or today or tomorrow, the Supreme Court's meeting on gun control.
Oh my God, we were just talking about that over the weekend. And would that be national?
Yes. The Supreme Court is, well, in Washington, D.C., it's illegal to carry a handgun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court's decision now is based on whether or not the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, applies to individuals or is it only for the militia?
Okay. Okay, very interesting. What you were talking to me earlier about gold and silver. You said you're expecting gold to hit a couple thousand?
Yeah, it'll be at least 1,200 or so very shortly. Have to watch. It's bounced up 25 this morning. It dropped down again. But the problem is everybody, the smart people, and there are very few of them out here that are waking up to what's going on, is that they're moving their money into the only thing we have as a commodity that we can use to trade. Now, seriously, gold will probably go in the long run, or however this long means, it'll probably go to 2,000 an ounce. Now, what you do then is sell it, obviously, because it'll collapse later, too, because the government then will put in their notices to go out and compensate the gold.
Right.
So your safest thing will be your silver for, trading. The old junk silver coins or the silver you get in any kind of business. That's for trading stuff. But even that will be affected. So, and then the question is, where are you going to be? And obviously away from major cities.
Yes.
A place where you can have, grow food.
Right. Well, what about silver prices? Right, it's over 20 right now, isn't it? And what do you think it's going to?
I'm betting it's going to go to 35 very shortly.
35. All right. 35 on silver. Okay. Now, in terms of the markets, what's your kind of take on how quickly the markets are going to continue to unravel and to what extent?
Well, I've said a long time ago they're going to go down to 3,500. That was the point where I shut my own firm down because at that point on they started manipulating numbers. Even publicly, the Dow Jones was 30 stocks, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they just announce they changed 2 more of them? In other words, you get a new deck of cards. So when they tell you the Dow Jones is going up, what Dow Jones? And the S&P 500, what 500 stocks? Because every month in the Wall Street Journal they report what stocks they delist is what they do and put someplace else in there.
They delist. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Well, that's the way to get rid of it. I mean, Enron went from $110 down to 80 cents. Well, what would you think that'd do with the market if it was still there?
Exactly.
They don't do it. They just we'll get another deck of cards.
Okay. But you think the real whatever the real market is going to go as low as 3,500?
Well, my problem is, and I said this a couple of years ago to a lot of friends, when the private companies that were underwriters like myself, they went public. That means they loaded off their position. They're still making money. They don't really care because the whole thing's going to collapse. Now the question is, if you have a security, who's going to buy and sell it? And the security doesn't mean anything. Now, look at all of the presidents and CEOs of all these companies are taking these huge salaries and everything else of the company. What does the stockholder get, and how does the stockholder really manifest itself?
Yeah.
There's no way you can do anything with a piece of paper. It'll be just like at the end of World War II. If you were in Germany, you could use it for wallpaper.
Right, exactly. Well, what about right now, today? Obviously...
Well, obviously it's sold to... Well, I'm not even going to say that. A lot of the hedge funds quit redeeming.
Okay.
So that means you won't be able to even sell what you have.
Right.
All right.
And remember, if you own a mutual fund, you don't own stock. You own a share of the mutual fund itself, which is the custodian, which is held into a bank. So the bank could go under, which is the custodian, and it holds whatever number of shares it has of the stocks that are held in whatever the street name that they have on them.
Right.
You don't even know that they even exist because of the way the accounting of this stuff. The derivative market has messed up the whole world right now. That's the reason why they're all shuffling back and forth. And my sources are telling me there are going to be 6 million houses going to foreclosure, maybe as high as 10 million, and the commercial real estate will follow within 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay. In terms of the speed at which the market declines, are there other cofactors in there? It's, certain landmark...
The question is, how come the market doesn't go right away? Because, and this is many years ago when I had my firm, when the market dropped 20% in one day, the next day I got a letter from the Federal Reserve said they'd loan me money directly to maintain the market. Well, a lot of our brokers got together on that and said, wait a minute, something's wrong with here, because usually we use a bank line in order to maintain market as an underwriter, right?
Yeah.
And that's what your job is, to basically buy a stock or sell it or whatever, and you just warehouse it temporarily. When you got, as you issue the stock, as the issuer of the stock, you got to have other people trade the stuff. Of course, that's where the stockbrokers make money, so they're going to say all this kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have to have somebody that makes the market. Well, that's going to be either the brokers out here, they're selling this piece of paper, whoever owns it, or at the last resort, the underwriter himself. Well, if the underwriter himself says down there, and he's being dumped on the stock, and he knows the stock's worthless, why would you buy the stock?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So what happened is the Feds themselves, the Federal Reserve, put on, at that time there were 6 members on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. They call them the Plunge Committee.
Okay.
Now, maybe more than 6 right now. I haven't paid that much attention. I don't care. I just know that they can print money anytime they want to, and they'll select the ones to, it's all computer generated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's to keep everybody asleep.
Okay, so they can manipulate the speed at which this drop occurs.
That's right.
And what's your best guess in terms of how they're going to play that out?
Well, here's the problem that's coming into play right now. When you have Venezuela today saying we will no longer take the dollar, we'll take the euros, and when you have the Far East stock market starting to dump, and you have China that put $200 billion of that, trillion plus that they have of our debt, they could dump it all, but it's not in their best behalf right now. So they've been moving money to buy the actual commodity at places. So at this next step, if any of these foreign countries, Japan and China and India, which is starting to come up in the big, say the heck with the United States, period, and they quit buying the bonds and they start to dump the dollar, now you're going to see the collapse of it because then nobody can be buying it.
Right, and that's sounds like it's inevitable, isn't it?
It's inevitable. I mean, when you have the government like the UK right now move in to shore up the bank that went down, now the government basically is talking about being, in England.
Right.
And they're basically nationalizing the money, right? Or the banking system. Well, that's exactly what they're talking about over here. The Feds are saying, we'll move in to save the banks. They're not talking about saving people.
Yeah, that's true.
What's happening, the people are the expendable containers, really.
Right.
In this whole game. And so the person, in order for them to get any kind of sanity, and I don't know what that is, but it's some sanity right now, is the ability for them to move into something they'll be able to barter with. So bartering goods is obviously a case of whiskey or whatever else you need, or like I tell people, get into cash. I mean, I went to Bank of America the other day and I wanted a couple $1,000s in small bills, and that's $20.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take more than that because in foreign countries now they won't take 50s or 100s, right?
Right.
It's all over Latin America that way.
Okay, so speaking of foreign currencies then, if people have dollars that are sitting in an account,
if they got 5,000 or more, get a hold of Everbank, EVERBANK. That's in Florida. It's $1 billion. You can put it up on the internet, and they'll put your money in an account of what they call a basket of currencies. and they have a whole trading division. Now, the only caveat on all that is when this whole game of cards comes apart, the smart money is either buying Swiss banks directly. The inflation rate is so bad that no matter what you do, you're going to lose money no matter what happens on interest. So you can't look at that. I mean, if they offer you 4% interest and the inflation is 20, how much did you lose?
Yeah. Well, how does that work in terms of moving your money over into a Swiss bank? I mean, do you literally carry a suitcase? You can't take money out of the country, or is it all wired?
Now that's the next problem that you're into. Now, under the new Patriot Act, the banks are now monitoring all money. Well, that's what they did with Spitzer, right? They saw money being transferred. My sources over at the bank says if you're an unkind, you have to go to the bank and fill out paperwork, but if they're going to do over 5,000, some of them 15,000.
So how do you move your money around? I mean, does it have to all be done by wire transfer to a Swiss bank?
Well, that's the way you have to do it. Or, like I say, you can move it to Everbank in Florida, and they'll do it for you.
Okay, that's true. That's good.
I used to say, tell people to go to, a couple of banks over here, but they quit taking, foreign banks. But they quit taking American citizens. So either that or you find a small bank that you go in and look at it, and most of its lending is right within the local area. It may be good, but then you can go to places like Vallejo, California, which is the whole city's considering bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Did you notice that PayPal, about 40%, they're talking about it, 40% of it may have been invested in derivatives, and they're not releasing that right now. You can make your own decision. I'm saying, okay, that sounds like a good deal, but now everybody's looking for that absolute security thing. So PayPal is a good thing to transfer funds for a little bit, but for leaving it in PayPal, even though they're owned by these things, remember, the fund they had, and whoever is managing the PayPal money, and there's a lot of money in PayPal,
Yeah.
is invested in derivatives. Now, when is that going to come out to the public, and how's that going to affect your account? And when will you not be able to withdraw?
Yeah.
Right, that's very good information. So it's okay for transferring out to other currencies, but don't leave it in your PayPal account.
I wouldn't do it. I'd go like the Everbank. You can call the people on the phone on Everbank.
Are you thinking the basket of currency rather than euros directly then?
Well, here's the euros is just another fiat currency at some point. The world is recognizing the euro rather than the dollar because of what's going on in Germany, as you probably are aware. I don't know what David told you.
No, he didn't. No, what's happening over there?
Well, Germany they're basically holding the euro together because of their economy. A lot of these other ones, well, they're threatening to pull out. And it's interesting that the UK is, running the euros, but they don't have their own money there.
Right.
Sterling.
You know that too.
Yes.
You're still using the pound.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so Germany's threatening to pull out on the euro.
Well,
okay.
that's what my sources are saying. They're threatening to do it too. And I can say I was just in Latin America. They're trying to they have put together the South American Bank, which is a basket of basically the currencies of all the countries together.
Okay, now, so we've got that, and we could just let that stand. What about pounds? Are pounds going down too, or?
Oh, they're kind of sideways. Hold on one second.
Sure.
The people in Latin America are moving their money directly into the Swiss franc for what they call security. That's been the history of the thing. My problem is with anywhere, if the banking system comes down and you don't have any trading, because it's all done through the, Bank of International Settlements out of Switzerland, right?
Yeah.
All trading.
Okay.
Greenspan's on the board, just so you know.
Okay.
And that's the 13 families that control that bank, which control the planet.
Right.
I mean, all money if you're coming back to it. Now, we're looking at security. I don't, I walk around with gold and silver, physical in my pocket. If I go to another country, I've got 10 pieces of gold.
You told me that. I mean, I've never figured out how you do that.
You just put it in your pocket. They don't, you go right through and put it as a change. They don't know. These people looking at it. What difference is it?
So it's just
20 pieces. That's $20,000 today.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that actually.
When you sign the thing on it, does it say you're going into a country with money or something? It's just change. Who knows what you pay for this stuff?
Right. Okay. What about the U.S. in terms of declaring a national emergency if something? It seems to me they're going to keep rolling out the bad news on the economy, and people will become increasingly unsettled until perhaps some reaction happens, and that's when.
But it could be with it. We're talking about the 90-day window. During the next 90 days is what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it's probably going to be in reaction to our actual state of affairs, and.
What is that? I don't know what our state is. Everybody's in paralysis right now. They don't know what to do. And the more you give them information, the more they start researching the stuff and finding out what's going on.
what do you do next in America? Because we're the problem. We're the one that's coming up with the big problem.
Well, let's put it this way. Remember, the first law in the handbook is the law of attraction. What you put out, you're going to get back. So what we've done is we strangled the world, right? So the next thing is going to happen, they're going to strangle us. You're going to have people. Well, actually, you got evidence of that in Los Angeles right now.
How so?
Hence, there's tent cities. People are moving out of their houses.
Yes.
Moving into tent cities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, think about that.
Yeah, I have. And they're talking about it a lot. I was listening to BBC, and they're talking about it with loud headlines. The American dream is over, people living in tents in Los Angeles. So the rest of the world is getting this message loud and clear.
Well, so what do you think if you're in another country? They say, well, why do we hold the dollar if everything's coming down and they no longer produce a product? Because all we do is service what?
Exactly.
And, we count the chips, and that's going to make us our currency good?
Yeah.
I mean, my son just came back from Mexico City. Now, Mexico City is a prime example, right? Got 26 million people. 26 million in Mexico City. Half of them do not have electricity, running water, or sewage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so we're looking at a situation where city dwellers, once this all starts coming to fruition, if it does go the full route, city dwellers are going to be in a real panic.
Well, look. If you don't have any food in the grocery stores, when I was talking to the man that owns a chain of food stores the other day, he was saying flat out right now, he says food will be up at least 40% within the next probably 3 or 4 months.
Wow, it's already, I know, we went away for a month. I was shocked when I came back as to what had already happened.
He said there's no way you can stop from that. You have to look at he says a lot of our food now is coming in from other countries.
Yeah.
He says that the big cargo ships were charging, I think I shared that with you before, they were charging like $30,000 a day to run these big cargo ships. That was just the fuel charge. Well, they're all over $90,000 a day right now. This is all in the last 6 months.
Jeez.
How does that translate back to the cost of food?
Well, it means the 3,000-mile Caesar's over, the 10,000-mile avocado or whatnot, yeah.
You got it. That's what I'm looking at. And the people, because of the Patriot Act, the Homeland Security is making these cargo ships stay out there, and they're taking an extra week or so before they'll allow them even to come in. And when they do that, at $100,000 a day, that's another $1 million added to the freight. It's just like you going down to United or Continental Airlines right now. You may have a ticket, but you're going up the window and paying an extra $50 on fuel charge.
Yeah, exactly.
So this has to reflect back to the American people, too. You're going to be doing, you don't know what your money's going to be worth when you go buy it. That's what's, you're getting notification of that. Nothing fixed, so that's going to leave more confusion, right?
Right, exactly.
When somebody tells me, well, what's it going to be in 90 days? Well, it's a day-by-day thing right now.
Yeah. Well, any kind of way, anything to sum this up with? I mean, good golly, it sounds like it's just that the whole drama is actually now unfolding. You told us all this a year and a half ago, and a lot of us have been preparing for it, and now the dance is happening.
Well, the problem is too few people have made preparation for it, so that's what they're getting ready for right now, and that'll be having the people, you'll steal for food in 3 days. They'll kill for a week. I think that has something to do with the Supreme Court's decision happened to come up right now, whether it's coincidence or what, on gun control, right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is rounding people up and putting them in these concentration camps and watching what's said on the phone or what it's said on there, on the TV, radio, internet, all these things that are happening, because they're watching the things to see what people do. They really don't care because too few people are doing anything on it.
Right.
Now, then the next thing you got to be ready, because the earth changes are going to start moving in earnest within the next year too.
Yeah. You're saying get ready for that?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm sitting with my friends in Ecuador down there, and they're analyzing some of the reports that are coming down. It's like the ocean has gone up. Publicly, this is all coming out saying that the ocean level has come up about 5 inches, right?
Okay.
Where did all the water? Well, there's not enough glacier melt to cause that. Well, they're not talking about the Earth itself moving up across in the inner, like moving up the bottom of a balloon in a bottle of water. It's starting to come up.
Right.
So we're expanding the water levels. Meanwhile, you get pictures in Spain where the guy's driving along the highway and you see the tidal wave which came out of nowhere and just wiped all the cars off the side of the road.
Yeah.
These things are going to start happening, but people will not be able to put the pieces together. This is all part of a big overall more change that's coming on the planet.
Right,
The
exactly.
planet itself is going to start doing this rock and roll bit, and it's all predicted by, psychics and what have you. And even the geologists are all amazed that it hasn't, like in California, really taken off in earnest.
Right. The whole notion of shifting consciousness and frequency fields is really the only way, really, once you take care of the physical body and your needs, that the evolvement of on a more refined level of the soul portion, as best as we can do, compassion, love, the obvious things and so forth, DNA changes happening, is that what you feel might be the best thing to focus on?
Focus on yourselves and waking up your neighbors and make sure that you have people looking. I have people right now that are setting up groups in their little towns. It's like they're all getting together. They're recognizing how they're going to be able to help each other in the days ahead, and they're not running down to the church. They're helping each other.
Yeah, that's how I see it. In fact, we're involved with some people in Reno doing that, and we want to start something here in our little town too, so people can just start swapping for goods and all that kind of simple stuff.
Start learning how to say, hey, I'm good at doing this, and I'm good at doing this, and we'll put my property apart. We'll all work together. You can grow your crops, get yourself some non-hybridized seeds.
Yeah, we know where to get those.
Yeah, well, that's going to be more critical than anything.
Yeah, the Rudolf Steiner College is near here, and we can get seed supply from them. They grow their own anthroposophical seeds.
Good.
Yeah.